My name's Alan Hart, and today I'm going to how to drain a hot water cylinder or hot water tank. My name's Alan Hart, and in today's video I'm going to show you how to drain a hot water cylinder and try not to make too much of a mess. So yeah, let's go and have a look. How to drain a hot water cylinder. And what we're trying to do, we're trying to get the water, in this case it's Vimto, out of this bottle, and want to get it down into this bottle, but ideally we'd be draining it outside into a drain. So what we'd do, we'd put what would be a hose pipe, or you might want to put some speed fit on or some copper, stick it into the bottom of the hot water cylinder. So what we're trying to do here, we're trying to siphon this out. So if you remember the old style toilet where you pull the handle, and what that does is it pulls a plunger up, and that plunger pulls the water over the siphoning side, and then that will empty the top bit of the toilet, the WC, and it'll go into the bottom. And that's what we're trying to do here. So we're going to siphon this out of here. So I'll just show you this. I'll try not to spill it this time. So we're going to suck on this. It's a little bit different with this because I'm just sucking Vimto, whereas obviously with a hot water cylinder you could be muck and rubbish out of the bottom of this. These products that you can use these days, you can buy products so you don't have to do this. But I'm showing you old school, I'm showing you what I do and what I've done for the last 30 years. So all I'm going to do is suck on this. It says, got a little bit of Vimto in there, look. So that's why it's not done it as good. So if we just suck on it again. And then we can see there, just sucks out and it goes from one to the other. And I'm not spilling it this time. So that's how you siphon out of a cylinder. So now I'm going to show you the pipes that you'd cut down, and I'm going to show you other ways to drain a hot water cylinder. Over to the whiteboard now. This is getting some use at the moment. So I'm going to show you how to drain the cylinder now, because obviously I've shown you how to siphon the water out of the cylinder, but we haven't shown you how to actually isolate the cylinder. So what you've normally got up in your loft, you've got a tank that's full of water, and it might be in the airing cupboard, but usually it would be up in the loft. You'd have two tanks. You'd have a small tank that's for central heating, and then you'd have a bigger tank that is for the water that feeds the hot water cylinder. And then as you come down here, normally you'd have a gate valve on here. So it may be that you could turn this gate valve off. So if you've turned this gate valve off, this example is we're replacing the cylinder. So we're going to put a new cylinder in. So that's what I'm going to show you now. And then I'll also show you if we're going to remove the cylinder as well. So if we're just going to replace this cylinder, we're going to put a new cylinder in. What we'd want to do, we'd close this drain valve, we'd close this gate valve here. If there's a drain off, there could be a drain off here. Somewhere here, near the bottom here maybe. There could be a drain off down there. And if there's a drain off down there, then great. You can just put your hose pipe on there and you can drain it. If not, we're going to siphon it out of here, like we said. But if we're replacing the cylinder, we've got this little pipe here. So we need to just be a bit careful now, because this pipe is connected in a different way. So this forms part of the central heating. I have done a video on how a cylinder works. So what I'll do is I'll add a link below in here to that video, and then maybe you could have a look at that one as well. I've cut the cylinder up, showing you how it works, how it all feeds and all that type of stuff. As I say, I'll add a link below here. But this will be live here. So you need to drain the heating system as well. So you drain the heating system down, take the water out of here, obviously disconnect off here, and you would open the taps. So open the hot taps and that'll take as much of the water out of this hot part of it as possible. So you'll have some water in here, you'll have water here, and you'll have water in here and down to the tap. So just take as much of that water out as you can. And then if you've got to siphon it, you'd siphon it out, as we've said. And then in reverse order, you'd put your new cylinder back in, connect all your connections back on, and then just open your gate valve. And then the water from this will go back into the cylinder and fill the cylinder up. And then obviously you'd have to fill the heating system back up. One thing I haven't mentioned, if we haven't got that gate valve there, then what we'd need to do, we'd need to isolate this tank here. And you can do that rather if it's got a valve on there. So it might have a little valve on there that you can turn off. If not, you'd need to turn off the main stop tap. And then when you've turned off your main stop tap, what you'd have to do then is again open all the taps, open all the hot taps, and just to try and get as much water out of here as you can if you're going to remove the cylinder. I just wanted to show you a drain off now. So that's what a drain off would normally look like. And if we open that up, so what you do, you put your hose pipe on the end of there, but you need to be really careful with that, because one, the water in the cylinder may be like warm or lukewarm, and that'll make that connection, it'll just fall off. So if you are going to put a hose on there, maybe put a Jubilee clip or something like that. If I'm honest, I don't normally use drain offs because they're just a nightmare, but I'll just show you inside that. So if you look inside that, what it's got a little washer there, but that washer tends to stick on the inside of there. So what you can end up with, all this fully out, and then you've got your washer stuck in there. So then you might need to put a screwdriver in and try and get your washer out, and then obviously loads of water will squirt out of there. So if that did happen, I would try and control that best I could if I did do that. And then I would have this ready just to stick back in again. So bear in mind, you'd have your drain off, you've stuck your screwdriver in, you've pulled that out, straight away you've stuck your hand over there, as long as it's not scalding water, because you won't want to burn your hand. And now the water is going down the hose pipe still, so make sure that's not kinked and make sure it can all go outside. And then this bit of it, take your finger off right quick and screw that back in like that, and put your, so it's got that bit there, and then it's got another little bit that goes over the top, and then you can screw that back in there. And then this bit, then you can just leave this open, and what that'll do, it'll allow all water then to come out so you can drain it down. And then obviously afterwards you'd need to get a new washer, or there's a new product actually that's just come out that sorts this problem out. It's got like a little Allen key. So yeah, that's the drain off. What I'll do now, I'm going to show you this cylinder if we were just going to totally remove the cylinder. So I'll show you that as well. We've covered most of this already now, and there's lots of other videos that I've done that covers this. But if you was going to totally remove the cylinder, so you're going to update the system and you're going to put a combi boiler in, for instance, then all you do, turn your mains off, turn your cold water mains off. So that could be that you're turning it off from here, or it could be at the main stop tap. So you turn your cold water mains off, open a hot tap, and that opening the hot tap would take the water out of here. It'd also, well, it'd leave a little bit of water in the bottom of here. So then what I would do, I would lift this tank up slightly, and I'd just be careful not to snap that connection there, because obviously if you snap that connection there, you'd have water that would come out of there. What I tend to do is just wedge some under here and leave this tank at just a little bit of an angle. So once you've got most of the water out of there, as much of the water as possible out of there, you could use your wet vac to get the rest out, or you could cut this pipe here. You could get a push fit stop end. So I normally use a John Guest push fit stop end because I can reuse them. So after I've used it, just pull it back off. So they're really easy. So we've got rid of the tank then. Get the tank out, take the tank out loft. Take this pipe out here, down. And then we can take it to the level just above the top of the cylinder. And then there's a couple of options here, and I did mention it in my last video. I try not to use a drain off if possible, but what I would do, I'd get a push fit John Guest reducer with a bit of copper pipe and a hose pipe, and I'd connect it onto this pipe here. And then if I could just undo that nut a little tiny bit and pull this pipe down. And if you can do this, you can't always do this, but if you can do it, then when you tip that pipe down, the water will go down the hose pipe and down the drain, so outside, whatever. So if you can do it that way, I find that empties a lot quicker sometimes, but it's not always possible to do that. If not, then what you're going to do is you're going to disconnect that nut on top of the cylinder. You're going to cut that pipe and you're going to stick your hose down inside of the cylinder, as I've said already. And then you're going to siphon that out to the drain, as we did with the bottle when I spilt it all over and got Vimto everywhere. So then we drain this cylinder. We've still got water now in the heating system. So on the heating system, on the header tank, if we was installing a combi, for instance, we'd be taking all that header tank out. I'll do a separate video for that, draining all that down. I'm going to do a video on converting some gravity and all that type of stuff. So I'll do that later. But we'll take all that tank out, and then what we'd do, we'd drain out the heating system, remove the tanks for the heating side, and this is this part of the coil. So then we disconnect them off there. And then, as I say, we've siphoned the cylinder, we've got all the water out of the cylinder, and we can just remove that cylinder there. I hope that's been clear enough for you. I have tried my best. It's a little bit awkward because there's so many different scenarios, and it's trying to cover as many of them different scenarios as possible. If you do have any questions on hot water cylinders or anything at all really to do with central heating, that's sort of what I've done for the last 30 years. So I'm a plumber, I trained as a plumber, I did my apprenticeship, trained as a plumber, and that's what I've done all my working life. I've been a plumber, and then I sort of moved into gas, and then I do mainly gas now and mainly central heating. But believe it or not, I did start off, we used to do lead roofs, we did all lead work. We worked at Leeds University, we did all lead work. We did student flats as well in them days, long time ago. Yeah, done loads of lead roofs and things like that. So if you want to see any lead work, maybe we could do that at some point. That'd be, I really enjoyed lead work. Yeah, that's another skill. Anyway, I'm babbling on again. As I say, if you've got any questions at all about anything to do with gas and plumbing, etc., please ask them in comments below. If you are a plumber or a gas engineer, and like I've said in lots of my other videos, if you want any shout outs, or if you want me to put a link anywhere, or you want me to promote your website or anything like that, then send me some stuff in on WhatsApp. And you know, I'm happy to try and help and support any businesses that do a good job. So yeah, I don't know what else to say. Thanks for watching. And then we can see there, just sucks out and it goes from one to the other. And I have not spilled it this time. So that's how you siphon out of a cylinder. So now